everybody. Welcome back to Cinema Trip Reviews. I'm Wyatt. This is Alex, and this week we are talking about The Last of Us, episode 7 and 8. First off, we want to thank everybody for kind of staying with us throughout the whole season here of The Last of Us, and of course, watching all the other reviews on the channel. If you haven't already, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Go tell your friends and tell their friends and tell their friends. Also, go check us out wherever you get your podcasts. We're pretty much available everywhere. Drop in and leave us a good review there as well. Just wanted to kind of get everything out there, get everybody kind of go check out our content across all these different platforms. Make sure to definitely share it with your friends, though. Try to get the word out there and get the name out there. We had a very, very exciting here 2 episodes to talk about this week, man. The first one, episode 7, of course, is Left Behind. That's the title of the episode, and it was also the title of the DLC that came out with the game. Now, from what I remember, you didn't play the DLC, you said, right?
I did not know. I mean, I know what happened, but I didn't play it.
Okay. Now, for a person that didn't play it, how did you like the episode?
It was fine. I mean, it's not one of my favorite episodes. Now, that's a hard place to rate things because I think they've all been great.
Yeah.
Like, in a vacuum, they're all fantastic, but this is one of my least favorites. I think it's kind of uneventful. It's more character building. You're getting to know Ellie a little bit, what makes her tick, which is fine, but it's just not a very action exciting episode. But I liked it. I liked it. Do they go into, and you did play the DLC, right?
Yeah.
Do they go into the Fedra stuff as much as they do in the DLC? Because
not as much as they did from what I remember. See, it's been a long time since I remember it, but since I played it, but I don't remember like all of, like her meeting up with like the captain or something of Fedra.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything like that in there. They kind of did go a little bit more in depth with it.
I've never like heard that in like Ellie's lore or anything, and it's fine that they changed it. But I was like, oh, I wonder if that's like in the game and in the DLC. But
yeah, I mean everything with Riley and her like wanting to go and join the Fireflies and everything, and the mall. Yeah, all that was in there. But yeah, from what I remember, the stuff with like Ellie staying at that place, she was staying at some like I don't know. I don't know if it was like kind of like a school or what in the game. But she did mention that like this was like her last chance. I guess she's been kicked out of other places, like as far as the game, and then in the show itself, I mean, it seems like it was her last chance as well, because it's like the captain even told her like you can either go in this direction or you can go in the other direction. Where it's like, yeah, you got to take your bruises and lumps, but you can be in my position at some point, and you could tell like I forget the name of the girl that was bullying her or whatever.
It's like Marlene or something.
Yeah,
no,
you can tell them what to do and boss them around or whatever in the future, or you can go the other path and like shoveling shit and whatever. You just bottom feeding pretty much, scrounging.
She chose neither.
Yeah. I mean, overall, like what you said, I think it was a decent episode. More so as an episode kind of showing you what Ellie's been through leading up to what's in the show at that with Joel and everything. Because overall the episode doesn't move like the story any like forward really any. It's really just kind of more character development as far as Ellie.
It's the same kind of complaint as like the Bill episode, where it's a very similar kind of, it's a character building episode. My other complaint, and it's just a small complaint, is I don't like that they didn't show you how the leader of the Firefly found her. It kind of ends on like a very like abrupt note, and I get it. It's supposed to be like impactful, but I wanted to see how like
Marlene finding Ellie, you mean?
Yeah. Exactly. Like what was next,
Yeah, I mean they don't show that in the game either. Like it pretty much cuts away the same way that it cuts in the episode. Like you don't see the aftermath with Riley or anything.
That's what I kind of wanted to see that. Like and I like that little last speech that Riley gives about like staying together for their last few hours, days, whatever they have. But I just wanted to see like what was next,
Yeah, a lot of the speeches and stuff back and forth, that a lot of that's directly lifted from the game. I mean, we're kind of jumping around a little bit. I mean, for those, I mean, if you're this far into the series or you played the game, you already pretty much know what we're talking about. It's going back in time a little bit, because at the beginning of the episode, you're right where we left off at episode 6, where Joel got stabbed and he fell off his horse and he's like bleeding out. She like drags his ass into like this old abandoned house and everything. She's trying to take care of him and she's like freaking out. And as she's leaving, she's like, I guess this memory is to kind of tell herself to be strong and like kind of what she's been through, she can get through this. And even though the DLC came out after the main game, the DLC does take place during this time in in the story, because as just like the show here, as you're cutting in and out between like Ellie and Riley, you are cutting back to like Ellie trying to take care of Joel in the
Oh,
DLC as well. Like when he's sitting there just like bundled up under the blankets, like she's trying
yeah.
to take care of him. It does cut back and forth between there. That's why they inserted this where they did in the
I
show
didn't
itself.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Mike, because in the show, like as she's walking up the stairs, because she needs to find supplies. When she kind of stops and she starts, recollecting on everything in her past, she's like at that. I guess it's not really a school. It's just kind of like a boarding place, I guess. But
House.
they're like in gym class or something, and she's like listening to her Walkman and everything. Like she has tapes, very like kind of like Star-Lord-ish, like the cassette tapes and everything. But that bitch, she steals it and wouldn't take it back, and like Ellie broke her nose. Apparently, you got to give her some stitches. But then you have that scene with like the captain, like we mentioned, kind of giving her like the two choices.
She chose neither. She said, "Fuck y'all."
A part of the reason she was in that fight was because like, oh, you don't have your friend. She like the late girl said like, oh, your friend's not here to protect you anymore or whatever. Where it's like, and when you're watching that and you hear her say that, you're like, did the shit with Riley already happen at this point, or what's going on? But then as you come to find out, like Riley sneaks in at like 2 a.m. or something. She's been gone for like a couple weeks now. Everybody kind of just assumes she snuck off and is either dead or who knows what. But turns out she like met up with the Fireflies. They convinced her to join them. She even has like, she's carrying her own piece around. She's carrying a gun and everything.
Ellie really wants still. She has a thing for guns.
She does have a thing for guns. Just let me hold it.
Just let me hold it real quick.
But Ellie is pissed. I mean, she has a right to be. That was her only real friend in that place. That was her roommate. And then she just kind of up and disappears. And then all of a sudden shows back up and just pretty much is going to leave again. It's so different to see both sides of it, because it's been a while since I played the game, so I don't remember what Ellie's thoughts were in the game as far as the show, because in the show she's like kind of not bashing Riley but bashing her choice. Like, what are you doing? You're joining the
like terrorists.
These terrorists. Yeah, they're bombing facilities. They're killing people. Like, and she even says, like, what happens if you go out? Like, are you going to kill me too? Like, you're going to blow up this building or something? She's like, I would never let them do that. And he's like, oh, because you have the choice, right? Like, you're going to stop them.
You're the big wig now.
Yeah, right. And I mean, I don't remember that being a thing in the games. Like Ellie Ellie was pissed at her for leaving and everything, but I don't remember her kind of bashing her choice for joining the Fireflies as much. She was just more so mad at her for leaving. She takes her to the mall, as you see in the game, and I mean, it looks so cool in the show. Like, as she like gets her to go out and she turns the power on and all the lights turn on in like that order, and you see everything glowing and everything still works apparently after 20 something years. But
yeah,
it's really cool to kind of see them going, and she's showing her like all like the 4 different wonders of the mall and everything. Like the carousel.
Love the scene where she's on the escalator and she's like, "Is this one of the wonders?"
Like, sure.
She's blowing her mind with this escalator.
She's like, "Check this out," and she's like has her feet up on it sliding.
It's a pretty cute scene. A lot like it's good character building. I know we kind of like hated on for the character building, but it is good character building. Yeah, like it's cute. They get a lot of like good interactions with each other.
Yeah, and like we mentioned with, I believe it was episode 5 and 6, especially 6, those were like Pedro Pascal's like his defining moments, and him like really coming out as a character and just a performance in general. He had a great performance. These 2 episodes, 7 and 8, this is where you get to see Bella Ramsey shine. Like these are her 2 episodes, and they're very different. Like as far as like the emotion she's going through in both. So you really get to see a little bit of everything as far as her character in these 2 episodes we're going to be talking about. But for the most part, I mean, she's happy. She's like they're seeing the different things. I love just the innocence behind it. Just not even in this episode, but the whole series, where like she's just asking Joel about different things, or like she was making a huge deal just about seeing a crashed plane. Like, you guys used to fly in the sky, like this crazy, and it's just so cool to see some of that innocence about stuff that like we kind of take for granted.
Oh, for sure. Even when she's I know we're getting there, but like she's looking at the underwear. And like she's like, people wear this stuff, and it's kind of a callback to when she's looking at the naked guy and stuff like that.
Yeah, and like Riley even says, like, she starts laughing. She's like, "Are you laughing?" She's like, "I can't picture you wearing that sort of thing." And then like she leaves, and like Ellie kind of sits there and looks at herself like, in the window and like pictures herself.
Maybe.
Like there is that side of her, like she wants to explore, I feel, but like she's hesitant to. And that's a majority of this episode is like she wants to come and she wants to tell her feelings to Riley, and you see it through the whole episode, especially like the carousel part when they're sitting there riding the carousel, and you just see like her like kind of looking at her, like she's not paying, Riley's not paying attention, but Ellie's just kind of like, you could tell she has feelings for her. You just don't know if it's reciprocated or not.
Yeah, you don't even know, and it comes up later, obviously, but it comes up later, and it seems like Riley does know, but like I don't know, it's never really like talked about. Like, so were they kind of in a relationship like at the school, or are they just friends? Like they never really
I think they were just friends, but I think both of them, they wanted to be more than that. They're just kind of too afraid, you know how it is as like a kid
in the world.
everything.
Oh, and as a kid, yeah.
But yeah,
but
they were just too afraid to tell each
drunk.
other until it was a little too late.
And they were drunk, man, because alcohol is a social lubricant.
Yeah, like on their way to the mall, they find like that dead body, and they're like, he wasn't here before whenever I came through here. And they just took the bottle with them and like, oh, we got lit. And I was like, I understand liquor is hard to come by at that time, but like, you don't know what's in that. Like that dude.
There is a parasite going around, a fungus. Do not drink off people.
Right. Mold can grow in liquid and stuff. But I mean, that dude obviously, so he had like a bottle of pills and shit there. You don't know what else he mixed in that bottle to kill himself. Like,
it might not even have been liquor in there. It could have been anything. You know?
Exactly.
It's
they're
just
just
a bottle.
taking shots. But yeah, that on top of everything is what leads to trouble, is them just slowly drinking from this bottle as they're going through everything. You get the cool scene with them in the arcade and everything, like playing Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, you play Mortal Kombat in it?
Not in the game. No, in the game it's actually a little different because none of the machines work in the game.
That sucks.
It's a little cute how they do it in the game, because like Ellie's pissed off because they don't work because she was so excited to play them, and then like Riley, like it's kind of weird. It's kind of funny, but like she gets her to close her eyes and she's like, all right. So she's teaching her the controls, and then like Riley's telling her like what's happening. And then like she's imagining like, and then while that's happening, it's kind of like for lack of a better like thing, but like kind of like a Guitar Hero thing where it'll like give you button prompts up on the screen and you got to press them in order or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like she's imaginary, like playing the game, and like Riley's telling her what's happening, and she's like, what are you going to do? Like, he's coming at you fighting. And she's like trying to like doing, like she's playing the game, but it's not actually there.
In her imagination. That's cute. That would have been cute. That would have been a cute scene to do.
Yeah. But in the show, like, I mean, they built off the Mortal Kombat thing from like like with Joel and that gas station and stuff. They had to bring it back to some way. But in that scene, as they're making all this noise playing games and stuff, you kind of see a couple stores down, you see that clicker like stuck to that wall starts waking up and everything.
Yeah.
But you have that big falling out because Ellie's like, all right, this is a little weird. Like, why did you bring me here? Like, what is the point of doing this and everything? And that's when Riley comes out and says like, I'm leaving. I'm not going to be here any longer. They're like shipping me out to somewhere. I forget where she says, like Cleveland or something. I don't remember where. But yeah, she's going away. They're probably not going to see each other ever again. And they kind of she wanted to give her one last night that she'll never forget. And that not only a night she'll never forget, but a night that'll make her remember Riley for pretty much for the rest of her life. But and then that really pisses off Ellie because she's like, okay, so you left me for weeks now. I thought you were dead. You come back, give me a great night, and now you're going to just leave me again.
Leave me again.
Yeah, for good now this time. And she's like, oh, great.
She doesn't even ask her to go with her, does she? Like, which I thought was weird. I was like, why wouldn't you ask her to go with her?
It's been a couple weeks since the episode, so I mean, like, I don't think she does.
I don't feel like she does, yeah.
But I mean, I don't think Ellie would have, because of how against the Fireflies Ellie is, which is weird because she ends up not joining, but she ends up kind of coming under the care of the Fireflies.
Yeah.
Because my guess is because of the bite and everything. But yeah, they have that huge falling out and everything, but they can't just let it go like that. They can't end it on bad terms.
Quickly.
So I mean, they kind of make up a little bit. They go to like that Costa Halloween store, like the Spirit Halloween, and they put on the masks and they're like dancing around and everything. That's straight from the game as well. I mean, they put on the masks and they're running around the Halloween store. You can look at different shit. And they even have that scene where they're like dancing on top of like the display case and singing to like, I Got You, Babe. That's in the game as well.
Which would shatter. That would
I was
shatter.
thinking the same thing. Like, they would just go right through that glass.
How strong do you think that glass is? They're not protecting Halloween masks with
Especially jumping
bulletproof
around and
plexi.
dancing on it, that
They're
would
like,
shatter straight through. But in the show, at that part when they're dancing and everything, that's when like the clicker comes through, and because they hear something, they're like, "What's going on?" And she even has that gun, and the gun doesn't do much use because they end up fucking running around for their lives anyway. In the game, it's a little different. They get attacked by the clicker, and they're like they peace out. They're like running out of the mall and everything, and they don't end up getting into the fight until they're outside of the mall. I think it was one clicker or two of them, but in the show, they actually get attacked in that store, and that's when Ellie gets bit. And then like she reveals that she's bit, and then Riley reveals that she got bit on the hand. And I mean, that's a heavy scene, especially because you don't know Ellie is, she's immune to the infection at that point. So I mean, you have a tough situation.
I like the right after their bit how they both handle it. Ellie is an angrier character, and she's just fucking smashing this, like all the displays and stuff.
Yeah, that's straight from that's in the game too. Like it cuts to like just Ellie smashing shit, and Riley even says like there's more stuff you can break over
there. Yeah, and Riley's just chilling, just contemplating.
Yeah, she's just going through her head, and she even says like we have a couple different options, like we can fight it out. And see,
I love that scene.
Or whatever, and then like the other one is like, or we can just end it. Like she has that gun.
Take the easy way out. Yeah. Or we can. She's like cherish the last few hours, days, whatever we have left together.
Yeah, she's like, I forget what she like, some cliche like Shakespeare, like loves like shit, just like die alone in this world, or like go off and like into madness together or something.
Yeah.
Which I like that. I like how like that saying, but it is a little like cheesy though, like the cheesy like go out together type thing. But and that's the thing, it ends there. That's where it ends, and it cuts back to like the regular story. But that's the way it ends in the game too, where you're just like, what happens next? Like they like in the game after she says that, it cuts to Ellie where she's just kind of contemplating like, okay, what decision do we make now? And that's when it cuts to her going and tending to Joel again, and that's where the DLC ends. But you're right. Even after watching the episode, before I kind of went back and tried to, because after every episode, I always go and like, I want to see how accurate or how close they did to these certain like huge scenes. Yeah. And they did it very accurately, because I mean, it ends the exact same way, and she's just sitting there trying to figure out what to do next, and then it ends. Overall, it doesn't really move the story forward, but I think it was needed to kind of get who the character of Ellie is. And I mean, especially because she mentioned to Joel before that she did kill someone before, so it's kind of implied she did kill Riley. It just doesn't come out and say it.
Yeah, but I want to see that, man. I want to see him descent into madness. Well, Riley descent into madness,
and then she has to make the decision. Yeah,
just like, not doing it.
Yeah, like, because you're like, do you just leave him there? But then again, if you love that person, you don't want him just to be a just mindless zombie.
You kill him.
Or like Ellie says, ask Joel later, like, do you think there is, or not Ellie, it's Sam. Whenever she talks to Sam, where he says like, do you think there's like a soul? Like, do you think is there actual people in these things? Like, you don't want a person you love to be going through that. So I mean, I feel like you would have to end them at that point.
Yeah. I mean, that's a moral decision. That's a moral choice that I think we both can agree on. That I'm ending it too, man. You don't gotta live like that.
Yeah, and I mean that's crazy, because I mean, if they would have made that decision quick, I mean, they could have both just shot each other, and then there wouldn't be any show or any game, So I mean, that would have been a hard thing to do, is just sitting there and just waiting. And then like if one of you starts turning, then you're like, all right, when am I gonna turn? And then you get confused,
what I wanted
like,
to see.
Why am I not turning? Type of thing. Or like,
I want to see Ellie go through that and then have to make the decision to kill her.
Yeah, I think that, especially with some of the other stuff they went and took liberties of adding into the show, I feel like that's something they definitely should have added into the show, especially with as much opportunities are taken to kind of make tearjerker moments out of this series. That's one moment that you could have had, and that you could have ended the episode on that scene, is her having to kill Riley, or like that could have been the final shot of the episode, is her shooting like the gunshot, and that's it.
Yeah, having to kill Riley, something. I think that would have been cool.
You wouldn't even have to show her shooting Riley. Just show like the camera pointing like close up of Ellie holding the gun, and then it shoots and goes to black credits. That would have been enough.
I'm with you, man. We could have had them enjoying the mall a little bit more. They were in their happy space, and like you don't even have to say how much time passed. Just let them do it. Let them have breakdown moments where they're crying,
Yeah.
let them have happy moments
Happy
again,
moments, and then that
and
moment
then
where they're
end on
like
that.
they're actually kind of having fun a little bit, and then it gets quiet, and Ellie's like, "Uh-oh," and she looks
Like,
over, and
she's
then
sick.
like yeah, and then Riley's turning, and that's
Yeah,
when she has to make the decision. I feel like that definitely would have been a little bit more impactful, like
I'm with you.
especially with them kind of taking liberty and doing different things in certain areas of the show. That's one I feel they could have. I would have rather had that expanded than have the opening expanded with her in that gym with the girl and then the office
Oh,
with the
for
guy.
sure.
I would have
Yeah.
taken that out just to have that ending.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
with you.
but overall, I mean, I think it was a good episode. I mean, this whole series has been great so far. I mean, I don't think, in my opinion, it hasn't missed so far. But you're right; it doesn't really contribute much to the ongoing story other than just character development for
Yeah.
Ellie and that character alone, really.
It's again, in a weird it's a very much like the Bill episode. If you enjoyed
Yeah.
that, if you enjoy the character building of that episode, this is a very similar episode with Ellie. It builds on Ellie's character. It introduces you a character that is never going to be around again and is gone at this point,
Hmm.
but it helps show why Ellie is the person she is, and why she makes these decisions real. I think you were saying how it makes it like I think it makes it like why she won't abandon Joel, why she has this abandonment
Yeah,
issues, and
that
why
makes
she
sense.
yelled at Joel and the previous like she has abandonment issues. She does not want people to leave her.
Oh
She
yeah,
does not like it,
just
you
like
know,
yeah, in episode 6, whenever like Joel was with
saying
Tommy
it.
and
Hmm.
she was just walking around town by herself. Like she was
Yeah.
just looking for Joel. She was looking for the one person she actually has a connection with. She doesn't know anybody else around here.
Yeah. And this really shows this. This really shows why she has those issues with abandonment, which we can all understand.
Exactly. And that leads directly into episode 8. And this is the episode we both been waiting for
I'll
a
wait
while
for
now. And
this.
this is called When We Are in Need. And the episode opens up directly with like this group of just survivors, I guess. And they're
Yeah.
in this like little town. You find out it's like an old resort, I guess, but it's led by David. He's the leader of this little group here, and he's definitely a Bible thumper. He's got the
Yeah.
banner behind him, and he's quoting scripture. Everybody's following orders. You think everything's okay for a little bit. Not It doesn't take too long till you're like, okay, something's a little off about these people. Um, I mean, you have that like girl crying, and like you find out like I actually had to look it up because I was like, who is this person that Ellie and Joel killed that is her father? Because you find out this little
It's
girl
one of
who's
the
crying
Raiders. Yeah.
is the guy that stabbed Joel, who they ended
Yeah.
up killing when they were getting away from like that campus at the end of episode 6, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's crying and everything. He's like, "Don't worry, you have another father here. I'm the father of all of us," and everything. And it's like, "Oh, that's a little weird to say." And they're like, they even asked, like, "Could we bury him?" And he gave that look to Troy Baker, who's in the
Troy Baker.
episode, who plays Joel in the game. He's in the show a little bit, and that's really the first part where you're like, something's a little off with these people, because when they ask about burying the body, like he gives that look to him, and he's like, there's a little weird like moment there. And he's like, "Oh, we're gonna have to wait till spring. The ground's a little too hard now because of winter. We'll have to wait till spring to bury him."
What does he expect her just to forget? Like,
Her father just died,
yeah,
right?
like, oh, it's been a few months. I completely forgot that we're gonna bury him.
Right. And I mean, these people don't look well. They're all like sickly and like skinny. Like these people, they don't have much rations. Like they're slumming it right now, it seems. Even though they have their own little town, it seems like everybody has their own little house and everything, because like when they leave that little like town hall, it's like that
Yeah.
little restaurant, like the steakhouse that they converted, but they're like all going back to their separate houses and stuff. And like David even asked like Troy Baker, don't remember the dude's name, so I'm just gonna keep
Yeah,
calling him
Troy
Troy
Baker.
Baker. He asks him like if he's good, like, "Hey, you're still with us, right?" And he even says like, "Yeah, I'm with you." And he's like, "Yeah, I still believe too," because he's kind of he seems like he's questioning his faith a little bit. It seems
Yeah.
like everybody's kind of questioning their faith because it's the winter. They're running out of food. They're talking about how they have to go out hunting and everything. And that's really what leads to the second part here, because Ellie is with Joel. She's trying to figure out what the fuck to do. They're running out of food. Joel is pretty much can't do a damn thing. He's just kind of sitting there muttering to himself and sleeping all the time. And he's like, she keeps looking at his stomach and it's still like ripped open and bleeding and stuff, and it's going to get infected. So she's like, I got to do something. So she goes out hunting, And in the game, she has like the bow and she kills like the rabbit and everything. Where it's like you see the rabbit and you think she's gonna shoot the rabbit, but then it gets away and she trips and she could have really fucked herself up because she's running with that gun and she ends up falling. But she comes across that deer, and the whole time, and they even bring it up eventually, I was like, how the hell is she going to carry this deer back to that house by herself? I mean, I guess she has the horse to bring back to drag it, I guess, but I don't know. But she shoots that deer, and as she's going to get it, before she gets to it, David and Troy Baker come across the deer because they go out hunting. And that's when you have that standoff.
Sticks him up.
Yeah. And she like deepens her voice a little bit to sound older as she's talking to him, and she has, for the most part, she has control of the situation. Like she gets them to put down their gun. She like tells them to go get. They make a deal. Like she'll give them half the deer if they have medicine. They'll bring back penicillin and stuff for her.
She lets them get too comfortable.
Definitely, and you don't think that she would at first, but the more he loosens her up a little bit. He kind of smooth talks her, kind of gets her a little comfortable. Like. Even because the part of the reason they go and sit down on like that little shack is like our camp's like 4 miles away. It's gonna be a little bit. I would have been like, no, I'm good. I'll sit right the fuck here and I'll watch you the whole time.
Yeah, man. I'll be cold. It's all right.
Be cold. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, not gonna die.
Yeah, because as they're sitting there talking, and I mean, she has her guard up for most of the time, but yeah, like once towards the end of that conversation, she starts asking him questions, and she starts getting kind of like into the conversation, and that's when she lets her guard down, and then Troy Baker gets a drop on her, and you should have expected this, man. I mean, even if she would have been standing there in the woods, I half expected him to kind of loop around behind her through the woods and sneak up on her.
Yeah, I'm surprised he went and got the penicillin.
Yeah, I'm surprised. He even says like, "This is no joke. This is no code. Yeah, this is a code. Go get the penicillin." But I was even more surprised he let her go there. Too, because he's like, are you fucking serious? You want me to give her the medicine? Like we have the drop on her right now. I mean, and they let her go, but I mean, you know that they're not going to just let her go. I mean, even they take the whole deer. Oh no, they take the whole deer back to the place because she just pieces. She just pieces out with the medicine. And they even say like, we're going to gather up a group and we're going to go find, because they said that Joel and this girl, they found the girl that was with the guy they killed. I forget the fucking guy's name. But the little girl's dad. Yeah. So their plan is to go out the next morning and track her down because she's not going to be far. And they know that he's hurt because the other guys that was with the dude that got killed saw him get stabbed.
They seem to be just mad at Joel, though. They seem just out for blood for Joel. And it comes up later. I think David manipulated him a little bit because he's very good at that in this episode. But they seem to really just be after Joel. But
yeah, a little later, they just want justice. They just want to kill whoever the fuck, whoever they found. But yeah, like Ellie, she's going through it, man. She goes back there and she's trying to figure, like, she's worried about them following her, but she's also worried about how the fuck is she gonna use penicillin. She's never used a needle and stuff before, and she sits there and she's like, just, I don't know where to insert this, so she just jabs it into his gut. It was like, I'm allergic to penicillin, so I don't know what any of that's like. So, I mean, like, I don't know if you can just fill up a whole syringe full of penicillin and just jab it into someone. I don't know if there's an overdose of penicillin that you can have to
I don't think you can overdose, but I do think it has to pretty much, I mean, I guess it would get it in your bloodstream regardless, but I think they usually put it in your blood.
Veins? Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think they just stab you wherever you're hurt at.
Like, I think they usually get it in your bloodstream.
That's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking as well, too, the whole time. But, hey, I mean, if you don't know any better, I mean, I'm sure it gets in your blood somehow.
I think regardless where you stab somebody, some of it would get in there, you know? And it doesn't seem like...
It goes into some quick effect, too, after, like, 2 doses, it seems, because she gives them that dose, and then the next morning, like, she gives them that second dose, and then she's going to go out. When she goes out, go hunting, and then she sees them kind of circling that little, like, housing complex. So she like runs back and she even fucking tells Joel, she gives him the knife and she's like, if anybody fucking comes in here, you fucking kill him. Joel's like, just
it's not a like pain relief or anything. Like he'd still be in so much pain.
It's just to stop an infection and try to heal you a little bit. But yeah, like I don't know how he's up doing some of the shit he is, especially with how he's been the past like 2 episodes. Just a tough
mind over matter
guy.
Sometimes, you know. He's just like, all right. It's time to get up.
He's got to do what he has to do for Ellie. save the girl.
Time to get up now.
But her big plan is to distract them so they don't find Joel. So she takes their horse and she fucking just runs out and she's like, "Hey fuckers!" and starts firing off shots. And I was like, there had to have been a better way to do this instead of just putting yourself out there in front of everybody. I feel like you could have yelled from somewhere. And like, oh, she's in that direction, and then you could have but I feel like you didn't have to show your face.
They do the same shot, and I know why they do it. They do the same shot they did in episode 6, where they're riding away on the horse and she's shooting behind them, and the horse, you can tell, is not a horse. It's like a piece of like wood or something. Yeah, because it doesn't want to spook the horse. I get it because she's shooting a gun, but like. Twice now I've noticed it where I'm like, that's for sure not a horse that they're shooting on.
It's probably just like a regular, like what you would see like a bull riding thing or something.
It looks because like it isn't like it's moving like this. Yeah, I'm just like, that's some bad TV right there.
Come on, HBO.
Come on, man. Coffee cups and moving horses.
Troy Baker, he must have been keeping up like running and everything, because this dude just books it through those like backyards, jumping over fences, and somehow like not outruns a horse, but he like gets there first. He gets to where he needs to be. I guess he knows the layout of that area because he knows exactly where to go to kind of head her off with the pass. And he shoots that fucking horse, and she goes flying off the horse.
It looks like it hurts, dude.
And she's like
she
knocked
hits the ground
out,
hard.
Yeah, she's like there dazed. I mean, she's got Tweety birds flying around her head.
How funny would that have been? Only time in the whole episode. This real serious
cartoon birds fly. But like the whole point, because David, as they're walking through that town, they're like, we can kill the guy, but when you find Ellie, don't kill her. We're taking her back with us.
He wants her.
Troy Baker's like, why? Like, everybody wants her dead. What's the point? Like, and the whole time I'm thinking, and they don't even bring this up, is the whole time is like, she would never be able to live within that community, like, safely. No. She wouldn't even be liked. Like, they would be forcing her to live in that community. I mean, who knows? Yeah. But I mean, it's insinuated more in the game what's going to happen than in the show.
We're getting there. He does say something pretty heavy at the end of the confrontation that you're like, okay, that's definitely what he had in mind. Like, they didn't shy away from it, but I'm with you. In the game, it is not insinuated. It is flat out basically told to you what he has in mind in the game.
Yeah, because even in the game, it might have been the scene with the guys and Joel, or it was at the town, because they even said like, oh, she's David's new pet. In the game, that's what they say, and I was like, "Oh, that's a weird." Troy Baker's character, he has his doubts. Even you see that throughout the episode, but even in that part when they're going through, because when David says about letting her live or whatever, and he's like, "Well, we can just let her be out here or whatever." And he's like, "Well, that's not what God had planned or whatever." He's like, "Well, maybe God had planned to just let her die." Like, did you think about that? And like David looks at him for a good like minute or two, like, did you fucking just like.
Put his pimp's hand up. What did you say to me?
Are you trying to step up to me right now? Like, I'm the leader, man.
You
can tell Troy Baker he's over everything. It seems like he's over David's questionable methods and everything. Because even whenever they get Ellie, he puts that bullet in his gun. He's gonna shoot her right there, and until David yells, David pops that shot off to let him know. But yeah. Troy Baker was just gonna fucking shoot her right there, and that was gonna be the end of it.
She should have.
But yeah, and then they take her back to that area and lock her in that cage. And I mean, you have that scene with her and David, and he's just trying to convince her, and he's slowly trying to just kind of like get her in, and she's
caressing like his fingers.
Yeah, she's letting him like believe it. She's doing the same thing that he's doing to her in a way. But except she's in a cage. But yeah, that scene is a little weird because he starts insinuating a little bit like, we can, like, you can join me, like, we can live together and we can rule. Yeah, we can build this thing together. And like,
too smart.
Yeah, he makes like it 13, seem like he has sort of a thing for her and everything. Yeah, and he starts like caressing her hands, and that's when she fucking like breaks his finger and like and bites him and shit. Then you cut back to Joel, where because after David and them, David and Troy Baker take her back to the place. They leave a couple guys behind the town to search for Joel because they know he's there. And this is definitely one of the best parts of the game. And this is one of the best parts of the episode is that dude
Mm-hmm.
fucking goes downstairs and like the fucking bed's empty except for that blood spot, and he's looking around that basement. And the whole time I'm like, I'm like, where the
I
fuck
was
is he
looking for
gonna
him
be
too.
hiding at? And just out of the blackness, he just jumps out of that shadow, man, and just fucking gets him. But I love that, like when he's just going around and it just cuts back to like the snowy town and those guys are walking around. You see the body on the ground and just Joel sneaks up on him. I wish there
Yeah.
would have been more of that, like him kind of sneaking around, like some Batman shit, taking dudes out
Some
stealthily.
video game shit. Want to see it?
Exactly. But then you get like one of the best moments of the episode, man, is him fucking, and it's like
Right in his
straight
kneecap.
out of the game is him
Oh,
beating the piss out of this dude tied to that chair. Oh my God, it's such a fucking great episode. And the other dude's like telling him to leave him alone. He's like, you're next. He's like, you
yeah.
just fucking sit right there.
You're next. And when he puts the knife right in under his kneecap, he's like, "I'm gonna rip your kneecap
Yeah, I'll
off if you
fucking
don't tell." Me.
break
I'm
your
like,
knee.
"Oh my
Stabs him in the
god."
leg.
Yeah. Well,
Dude.
he gets it behind his kneecap because he's like, "I'm gonna rip your kneecap off
Oh,
if you
yeah, and he
don't tell
starts
me."
twisting it in his leg
Yeah.
too, and he's screaming. Oh man. And like he puts the knife in his mouth and he's like, you point where we're at and you point where your place is at, and you better pray that your buddy picks the same place. And this is something that happens a couple times in the game, and it also happens in part 2. Ellie does it at some point.
Yeah.
But it's something that like Ellie picks up from Joel throughout the games and stuff. But
I don't
such
like
a
he
great
kills him though before he gets the other guy to point. So I was like, so that first guy could have lied. I
scene.
mean,
He does. It's the
probably
same way in the
wouldn't have.
game though too.
Yeah, I know, because he probably wouldn't have lied because obviously he's like, oh, he's gonna go ask him in 2 seconds. But
The one thing they changed in the show though I didn't like was the way he killed the dude, because in the show he just takes the knife out and stabs him. In the show he gets up behind the dude, he fucking like breaks his neck, like he just snaps his neck, and the same thing happens though. Dude's like, he just told you where he was. He's like, you didn't have to kill him. He's like, now I'm not gonna tell you shit. He's like, it's all right, I believe him. And he just fucking just beats the shit out of him with that like big huge pipe. Like, bro, Joel, man, that's one of the best scenes in the game, and it's one of the best scenes in the show here so far. But this scene, though, that we're coming up on is also fantastic in another way. I mean, Joel's setting out for that. I guess it's like a town resort area or whatever. David's already pissed off at Ellie, so he gets Troy Baker to come in. They're going to fucking grab her up.
Chop her up.
Yeah, because at this point, when
Ellie
she's
knows.
talking to David, in that room, like we mentioned, she sees that ear under the table.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it escapes me how she finds out in the game. I don't know if she sees like one of the bodies hanging or something, or if it is an ear. I don't remember exactly.
I think it's pretty similar. I think she just sees like body parts and stuff.
But she sees that ear, and then he's like, don't judge me. He's like, we just had what we had to do to survive. You know, I wouldn't do it if we had more food or whatever. And he's like, bro, like, you don't have to do. He's like, what do you want? You want me to let people starve? What do you want me to do?
Like the town that we saw 2 episodes ago had farm animals and they were growing stuff, you know, like move.
Yeah, why are you in Wyoming?
Yeah.
Like
I understand the cold, you got to be a little cold, but you know they have farms in Wyoming, right? Like you could have prepared for this. You're not a good leader.
Yeah, you're not a very good leader, man.
Which I'll get into. I mean, I'll get in when we finish the episode. It's not. Go ahead. We'll keep going.
No, but I mean, this pretty much from here on is straight from the game. I mean, you have that, they throw her on that table and she's like, you're infected. He's like, what do you mean I'm infected? She's like, I bit you, I'm infected. And I love that scene. He's like, what the fuck you talking about? She's like, rolls up her arm and she sees that. And he's like, what the fuck? And like Troy Baker's like, bro, what is going on right now? Like,
you got me in something.
Yeah, like, what'd you get us into? And she's like, well, she hasn't turned yet. And like Arya, and then she just fucking takes that hatchet, just puts it into his neck and just bolts out of there. But yeah, Troy Baker's done for. He got stabbed in the fucking neck. Then you have that scene that we've been talking about since we started doing these reviews, is Ellie running around that steakhouse while he's like chasing her. And in the show, it's in the movie, in the game, it's an accident how the place catches on fire. I think she purposely did it in the show. Like, she straight up throws that like lantern into the corner there to light it on fire and everything. But it's a great scene. I mean, he even says, like, why are you running? Like, if you're trying to escape so bad, then you're not going to turn. Like, I know you're not going to turn if you're trying to, like, escape and everything. Yeah. Like,
he says about the doors are locked. He's like, we're in here now.
He has the keys. I got you trapped and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's just slinking around. She finds, like, the knives and stuff behind the counter and everything. But yeah, and then she just fucking starts, like, going. She takes her shot at him, but he ends up, like, beating the hell out of her and kicking her while she's down and beating the hell out of her.
Says the creepiest line of the show.
Yeah, when he's on
Yeah.
top of her, like trying to like hold her
And
down and shit. Yeah, he's
he's
like,
like,
"Go ahead and struggle. This is my favorite. Like
yeah,
that's
he's
my
like, I
favorite
think you don't
part."
understand. That's my favorite part. And I'm like, ah, you fucking
You
creep.
fucking gross weirdo. But yeah, she gets a hold of that fucking in the game. It's like a machete he's
Yeah,
carrying,
this is like a
like
butcher,
a
like a
like a
big cleaver.
cleaver or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, she fucking whacks it on the head, and just like the game, man, she goes to town, and she's fucking letting him have it, dude. This is another change. I wish, because in the game, while she's fucking killing him, that's when
He
Joel
comes
comes
in.
up and grabs her. In the
Yeah.
show here, she does that, and then as she's walking out and leaving, that's when Joel finds her.
Yeah.
I think it would have been more impactful if you would have had Joel rip her off of that
I agree.
off the
Like she's
dude.
just so like, and they execute that really well, where like everything like fuzzes and you hear like that buzzing when she's hitting him. But I do agree with you. They should have had like in the background you could see the door and you see it pop open from Joel hitting it.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to hear it or anything, and then that's when he kind of grabs her and like the world comes back into focus for her. You
Yeah, because
know?
she starts freaking out. She's like, "Let me go, let me fucking go!" Like she thinks
Yeah.
someone else is there just trying to get her. And I mean, even just that tiny scene when Joel's trying to calm her down, he lets that line slip. He's like, "Baby
Yeah.
girl, calm down."
Baby girl.
He says it, and you're like, "All right, he's in.
Yeah.
He loves her." Like, and I mean, you already knew he loved her though. That's why he's fucking beating the hell out of these dudes, interrogating them. He's like,
Yeah.
"Where is she?" Like Batman, "Where is she?"
Where is she?
And he's like, "What girl?" And he's like, "You know." And that's when he like fucking stabs him. Like he's on a warpath. He's gonna do anything and everything to protect this girl. And I mean, as you're gonna find out in the final episode that we're gonna be coming up to next week. Hopefully.
Did you see her comments? She was like, "Oh, some people might not like. It's gonna be divisive." I'm like, come on.
I don't know. That's what I was gonna say. Now that we're in the episode, I was gonna talk about like what do you think is gonna be changed. I mean, obviously, we don't want to go into some spoilers for maybe some people that haven't played the game or anything. We don't want to go into too many spoilers here as far as what could be happening in the finale. But as far, I can't see them making too many changes. To be
I don't think
honest,
they're gonna make changes. And I saw something, and I didn't do any research on it.
I
I don't know
did
if
see
it's
that
real.
quote though.
Oh, yeah, but I saw something that they're gonna do another time flashback, and it's gonna kind of tell you how she is immune. And we're gonna kind of figure that out.
I didn't get it. I didn't get it confirmed.
I didn't get it confirmed. Yeah.
But apparently, Ashley, I forget her name, the girl that played Ellie in the game.
Mhm.
Apparently, she's playing Ellie's mom in the show. In that flashback, from what they're saying. So the girl that played Ellie is going to be in the show. That's what people are saying, is that she's going to be a flashback of her mom, I guess. I'm not sure. The only thing I can really think about them adding is really, because you played some of the game, right? The second one?
Oh, I played most of it. Yeah.
Okay. I think they're going to really put in there, they're going to kind of make it stand out that this is Abby's dad at the Firefly facility. I think they're gonna, because in that time, I don't think they really knew what they were doing as far when they were making the original game. So now they can kind of put that in there, or maybe put Abby in that.
I bet you they even put Abby. Yeah. I bet you they meet. I bet you her and Bella Ramsey even meet. Ooh. Like while she's in the facility and stuff, you know, it's another kid.
Maybe even if they don't meet, they lock eyes, or like they see each other at some point. Maybe they're like wheeling her into somewhere and you see her and you're like, oh shit, I know who that is. Or like, Abby's with her dad or something, like one of the doctors, and you're like, oh shit, here we go.
In a waiting room, and Abby says something like, oh, it's my dad in there, you know, whatever it may be.
Yeah,
you know?
I think they're definitely gonna kind of put that in there leading up to season 2. That's the only thing I can really think about changing, because I mean they followed everything so far, the main story beats to a T. I can't see them really changing this ending drastically. I can't.
Now I do want to go back to the other episode.
Yeah.
We got kind of sidetracked there. For the villain, I felt he was more subtle. I've been reading places that people were like, oh, he's scarier in this, which I get. The religious aspect kind of makes it scary. He's definitely manipulating people. I don't even think he's religious. He definitely kind of lets that out.
Yeah, I don't think he says that he believes in God and stuff. I don't think he was a Bible thumper or anything. I think he was hiding behind that. I think that he was using that to control people. Yeah,
which is scary. I think that's kind of scary
because he said that he loved, like, he kind of not worshipped, but he admired like the cordyceps and everything. That was his
crazy dude.
Yeah, it was like the fucking. It reminded me of like the robot dude and Alien. He's like, I admire their purity
Yeah, yeah.
and everything.
I did like it though. I liked. I don't know if he's scarier
I
though.
think he's creepier in the game, to be
I think he
honest.
is too, and I think why lean away from the absolute like cruelty of the rape undertones that is definitely in the game, and
Yeah.
I feel like that's what got you to hate him. I don't need a subtle villain. I need like you want to hate him because that's what makes you like when she's killing him. Even like when he says about the girls and he's like, "Oh, you have a new father now." They use that in a very religious tone, and maybe there's deeper meaning to it.
Well, yeah.
He
I mean, that
could
was
have
at
been.
first because
And,
as the episode slowly goes, that's when you see the darker. Because there's that another scene with that girl too, when she like when he says like, "Oh, we'll go out and hunt her in the morning or whatever." That girl stands up and she's like, "We should kill her. Like, you need to go out and kill her or whatever." And then he smacks the shit out of that girl,
yeah,
that
he
little
hits her.
girl. And then like
I
because
thought
she like stood up to him and everything, and it's like,
I
ugh.
think they should have had him like even at that scene where they're at the dinner table and he's eating, have him like you're gonna sit beside me, like really hammer that creepy undertone.
I
Like
mean,
he
it
gets
was
that girl.
creepy because like
It
her
was.
dad just died and he's taking her place, and it seems like he was kind of like sliding in and taking advantage of her mom too because she was right
Oh
there.
yeah, yeah.
And
Oh,
he,
I
I
think
don't know
he
if you
should have like
noticed, but he like his plate was full of food. Everybody
food.
else
I
had like a
guess
little bowl of stuff. His had
I
a
did.
whole plate of stuff. Yeah, he
I
was
did
being
notice
taken
that.
care of.
Oh yeah, well he's the leader. That's how religious leaders can
Yeah.
be. We'll not get into that, but
Yeah, and another note, as we were watching, like after at the very end, like when Ellie escaped and everything, and the place was burning, like she has that scene with Joel, and the cuts to credits, and Annette's like, "So, nobody in the town just noticed what was happening?" And I was like, "That's your first thought after watching this amazing fucking episode with, and you just watch these two people come together again? That's your first fucking thought?"
you can't help but to think about it though. Like they're
Well,
all just
my
standing
first
out there
thought
like
was like, these people couldn't even fucking think for themselves. What are they gonna do?
yeah,
Like, these
just
people couldn't even
watching it
think for
burn.
themselves. This dude was ruling everything, telling them what to do. And the other thing was like that fire wasn't visible yet. I mean, it was
Yeah, not yet.
inside. It wasn't like burning the whole place up. And it's not like they were shooting guns off. It wasn't making a ton of noise. I don't think anybody really would have known. And that was a place, that was where they were cutting up the bodies and
I
everything.
bet you was a little off the beaten path.
I don't think people were even supposed to be in that area where they were at. Like,
Yeah, I do agree with that because they have like cages and shit down there. Which
exactly.
why?
And that's where
Why
you're
does
cutting
this?
up the bodies. You see Joel walk into that barn, and you see
Oh
like the
yeah,
bodies
yeah.
hanging upside down
We
with their heads
missed
cut
that, which is
off
a
and
great
everything.
scene. Yeah, that was a good scene.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
he's
he's
like,
like
"What the fuck?"
sneaking through the barn.
Yeah, and then he
Um,
sees that, and he's like, "Oh, what the
they were
fuck
in
are
like
they
a
gonna do to?" And he sees like her bag and with all of her stuff and the blood trail. He's like, "What the fuck? What did she do? What did they do to her?"
they why does that steakhouse have a cage in the bottom of it? That's what I would like to know.
I don't. My guess is maybe they put it there. I don't know.
Like there's like a cage in the bottom of this steakhouse,
To hold
and it
their
looks like a
victims.
jail. It looks like a jail. It's like up against a window, like a jail
That's
window.
where they
He
put
comes.
their unruly, followers. They don't want to
No,
follow
I
orders. They
get
disobey.
I get why they have the cage. I'm wondering why the steakhouse had the cage
I mean, maybe it wasn't there
before.
originally. Maybe they
I
put it
get
there.
it was like a waste of resources.
Maybe they actually slaughtered cattle and they just put them in the cages in there. They actually did it on site. You pick your
I'm
own cow,
surprised it wasn't like a freezer or something, like a turned off freezer or
and they
something.
just lock her in there or something.
Yeah, yeah, or even had like a door, like a shimmy door built there,
Yeah.
so you could still have the cage look.
I
But
like how it
"Why is
shows
this
like
cage?"
how smart she is too. Like immediately
Mhm.
she's like checking all the screws and like
Yeah,
on like all the different and making sure it's like tight. Like she's going through everything to try to make sure like if there's any way to get out whatsoever. I like how they kind of did that.
yeah.
She's
Weirdly,
resourceful.
as many movies as I've seen, I don't know if I've ever like seen somebody do that and not get out like that, where like it's
Right?
brought attention
There's
to
always
it.
like one loose screw
Yeah,
they can undo to get out or like loosen up to like escape eventually or something.
yeah.
But yeah,
I
you're
like
right.
I like that too. It was good. And this is just leading into season 2, which we're getting far ahead of ourselves. It's gonna be for like another couple years, but like
It would have to be, right?
it's gonna be it has to be a
I
couple
feel like you
years.
can't just film it right now. I feel
She's
like
not
they're gonna
old
look.
enough.
She's actually older than I thought she was. She's like 20
Oh
years
yeah,
old. I thought
but
she
she
was
doesn't.
younger than that.
She doesn't look old enough yet. I
You're
mean, I
right.
guess
She needs to
she
look
looks like a
older.
kid. Yeah,
She needs to look older for part 2. I think
yeah.
they should wait a couple, even though it's gonna suck waiting that long. But who knows? I mean, they could do all kinds of shit with
Yeah.
stuff nowadays. They can put lifts in her shoes, make her look taller. They can. I mean, they made Pedro Pascal look like 10 years older
I
by
always
giving.
think he kind of looks old. You don't think he looks old always? I think he kind of looks old.
Not as old as he looks in The Last of Us with like the
Sure.
peppered hair and everything.
Sure, yeah. I just watched that movie with him and Nick Cage, which was awesome.
Bro,
If you
I've
haven't
been
seen it,
wanting to because me and Annette have been watching clips and it's been hilarious. So I was
it's
like, we've been
awesome.
wanting to watch it because
It's
me and her
so
have
good.
been, since I got her watching the show, me and her, like, I'm all in on Pedro Pascal.
Me too, man.
And
I'm in
I
it.
love, I mean, you watch The Mandalorian and stuff. I like The Mandalorian, but watching like The Last of Us and some of these interviews with him, this dude's a cool fucking dude. Like,
He's a cool
I would
fucking
love
dude.
to like have a beer with Pedro Pascal. He seems like such a funny guy.
Yeah,
And
he
in
seems
that
cool.
movie, it seems hilarious, dude.
He's very fun. They're both. Nick Cage is very funny and he's very funny in it. I highly recommend it. I cannot wait for this final episode. I hope it's
I
two
can't wait
hours
either.
long.
I do
I hope
too.
it's I hope it's the longest one we've gotten. I hope it's like a movie. I'm very
Yeah.
excited.
I think this
Um,
last one should have been a little longer or like a two-parter. I don't know.
I think a couple of them should have been longer.
This season should have been 10 episodes. It shouldn't have been
Yeah,
9, dude. Like, I don't know. It's I feel like it's not doing the story justice. Even I mean they are doing it justice by the way that they're doing it, but I don't know. I feel like they could have give it more time to breathe a little bit. I feel like everything seems so compact and tight. Like, I don't
they're
know.
they're forcing bonds and character development into one episode. Like we
Yeah.
just talked about with Ellie. This was 2 episodes where Ellie really got character development, where she wasn't just this bratty kid spitting one-liners and
Yeah.
being annoying. This was 2 episodes, and same with Patrick Pascal. He got one really episode where we got some character development. Where I'm with you. Could have been longer. We could have stretched this out over some time, and maybe we're just trying to be spoiled here because we're the
Maybe
game.
because you would. I mean, it's like damned if you do, damned if you don't type thing. Because like
Yeah.
we're complaining about this, but if they would have drawn it out, then it's like, all right, it's too drawn out. It's there's not much happening now because it's too drawn out or something. Yeah,
I don't think we're gonna get the draft scene, man.
I don't think we're getting the draft scene either.
How are you gonna put the draft scene? Like,
We got the
how are they gonna
monkeys, but we didn't get the draft.
travel? How are they gonna travel to this? Like, they basically have to get to the fireplace within the first 5-10 minutes of the episode for the ending to really feel satisfying. Like, they can't rush it in the last 10 minutes. Like, no way, man.
They can't, dude.
Like,
I
it's
don't know
gotta
what they're gonna do. I mean, I feel like the episode has to be at least like an hour and 20 minutes or something, dude. I feel like it
I,
has to be.
it's gotta be. It's gotta be movie length. I think it's gotta be an hour 30, hour 45, man. I just don't see how you can not only heal from what just happened, Ellie. There has to be some time where Ellie gets to heal, like from this traumatic experience. We can't just like jump in and she's like reading notebooks again, like, or
Yeah,
joke books. Like, so you got to have time for that. We got to have time for them to meet these people, for all that to happen, and then time for
everything.
the
Yeah,
ending to happen.
yeah,
Like,
because you definitely need some time for that ending.
oh
Because
yeah,
yeah, because I don't want to get into specifics until we actually talk
you're
about
right.
it next
I
week.
don't
But
either, but
you need some time to at the end to kind of settle on what happened. You can't just rush that.
yeah, and it can't just end there either. Like, you have to. One of the best lines, and I'm not going to spoil
It
much,
needs
is
to
when
end
he
exactly
lies.
how it ends.
Yeah,
Yeah,
when he
yeah,
lies to her in the end of the game is how it needs to end here. He needs to lie to her still, like that still needs to happen.
yeah. I
That
think I said it in the first review we did. Is it needs to end the exact same way the game ended? Is on that like
on
question
that note,
on
on
that
that
note
question, on that lie, on that emotional
because she's
impact,
just like,
like,
okay,
this is a human choice, whether she believes it or not needs to be ambiguous,
yep, and
like,
that's how it ends. And because she's just okay, and then it cuts to
yeah.
credits, and you're like, what the fuck now? What do you
And
mean?
it's a great ending. It's a
Oh, I'm getting
fantastic
chills
ending.
thinking about. I want to play the
Yeah,
game so bad.
I'm gonna get it for PS5, and I told
I'm
myself I
going to
wasn't.
eventually.
I'm going to.
I'm
I'm
going
like, I'm
to.
like, I'm not buying it again because I had it for PS3. I bought it for PS4, and I was like, I'm not buying it for PS5. And I'm
Yeah,
doing.
I
I'm
might
fucking.
see. I might if I get it, I might see if Annette will want to sit down and like play through it with me. Like that way she can
Uh,
experience the game. Because as of now, I'm showing her like clips, like look how fucking accurate this is. Like they did it like shot for shot. Like look
she's
how.
like,
And she's no, she's
uh,
genuinely interested in because she even asked me like after the
after.
episodes like was that how it was in the game or whatever? Like pretty much like damn near
Mar-
exactly except for a
Marissa's
certain thing here or
total
there.
opposite. Could not give a shit. Could not care. She's like, I don't care about the game because I say that shit. I'm like, oh, they changed it. And she's like, who cares? I'm like, I care. I fucking
No,
care.
and that's actually pretty like genuinely interested.
No.
And
I mean,
she
Marissa likes
doesn't
the
have a clue
show.
what's gonna happen at the end either. And I was
Marissa,
like, I'm not gonna
Marissa
tell you.
does.
I'm not gonna tell you.
it's funny because I have told her before I knew about the show and stuff, and then I might have even told the story in this podcast, but I did tell her, and then I told her, I was like, "Do you remember what happens?" And she's like, "No, don't tell me." And I was like, "Okay, I'm not gonna tell you." And then like 2 days
See,
later, she was like, "I thought about it, and I remember what happens." And I'm like, "Oh, that sucks. I'm
see,
sorry."
I regret telling Annette what happens in part two because
She doesn't know that.
I'm pretty sure she remembers. I didn't ask her if she remembers,
Man,
but I remember like when the
ignorance
game
is
came
bliss.
out, I was excited. I was telling her about it, and I'm pretty sure she remembers. And that's going to be such a huge thing that I wish she would be able to experience while watching the show or something. Like,
I'm keeping my mouth fucking zipped. I am not telling
yeah, you
Marissa.
got to.
I did not tell her that part.
Yeah, man, I love these two episodes. I mean, I love the whole series so far. I would definitely agree that like probably 7 is one of the weaker ones, even though it is a decent episode. It is a strong
Yeah,
episode, but out of all the great episodes, it's definitely one of the weaker ones.
but I think it's followed up with 8, which I think is one of the better ones.
One
I
of
think
the
it's top
best episodes of the
3. Yeah, I
season.
think it's top 3 at least, maybe in top 2 for me. It doesn't beat the Sam episode for me
Yeah, that
personally.
one's probably my favorite so far.
That one's so good.
That's probably the best. But who knows? We
But it
got
might
one
be
more
number 2.
episode.
We got
It might be the best episode of the series, so
I'm
we'll
hoping.
see. But yeah, I liked both episodes. I mean, the whole season's been great so far. It sucks that it's only 9 episodes. I hate to see it come to an end so soon because it doesn't seem like it started that long ago. But I mean, we're almost to that time where it's going to be that long lasting wait for season
Uh,
2. Who knows how
I'll
long it's going to be? But those are the worst parts.
I think I might buy it on Blu-ray when it comes out, and I think I might watch it with my kids. So I'm gonna watch it one more time because my older son, not my youngest daughter, because I think he's right. I wanted to watch because like, I don't know how bad it's gonna get, especially this episode we just watched. I was like, I don't know how bad it's gonna get, but I think he can handle it all.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. They're not
Doesn't
going
go
as
great.
far as like there hasn't been like really nudity or anything in the show. I mean, other than
He's
like that autopsy, like in the
uh,
second episode of the series or
he's
something.
12. By the time the DVD comes out, he'll be 13.
Yeah, I mean, it's all
I can
just
handle it. He can
blood,
handle
gore,
it.
and swearing at that
Yeah,
point.
it'll be all right.
Yeah,
He's got the fucking internet in the palm of his hand. I'm sure he's seen a
I'm
boob
sure
once in his
seen
life.
worse, played worse.
Sure, he's seen a boob.
But yeah, that's the episode 7 and 8 review. Any lasting thoughts here?
I'm excited, man. I'm apprehensively excited for this last episode, and fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed we come in with this high.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's just as great as we expect it to be. Hopefully they don't diverge and go too many different routes. Like we talked about before, I'm totally cool with them like introducing Abby and her dad and stuff. Kind of get that in there. That way you know what's happening in season 2 when it
We
rolls
didn't
around.
even we didn't even talk. They gotta introduce Ellie's mom. We already know that. So there's another chunk of the episode. This has to be a 2-hour episode.
That needs to be just like a quick flash. Like a
Dude,
flash,
God.
like 30-second flashback type thing she's remembering. Maybe that's
If
something.
they
Maybe that's like a thing she sees.
when she's
I,
on the table,
Yeah,
maybe.
but
All
I'm not going to
right,
go into
all
details
right.
about it.
We'll
But yeah,
talk.
exactly. Maybe that's something like a flash she sees or something. Who knows?
Oh,
You're right.
apprehensive.
I don't know how they're going to do. I don't know how they're going to do the rest of the game in one more episode.
I don't
It
either.
doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't know if the run times are out. If they are,
2 hours.
hopefully at least over an hour. It's got to
Yeah,
be.
hour and a half.
But yeah, I mean, I loved it though. I love this series. Hopefully they keep it going. I mean, I don't want to see them go past season 2 though, unless they make a third game. Then hey, then you can do the third game. But I don't want them going past the games.
Would
Really.
you be okay if they went back for season 3? Like if we got those episodes with Ellie and Riley, if we, got a little bit more of what Joel did before he got there, or you don't care at that point?
As long as it's like Joel or Ellie, as long as it's
Yeah.
involved with those same characters and it's around some stuff that we kind of know or know
Yeah.
about within the universe, I'm okay with. But if you're just going and writing brand new shit to go forward with the show, I don't know if I'd be on board with that.
I would be
But
okay if a little bit of that, like if one episode we followed kind of Tommy. I'm okay following Tommy for 1 or 2 episodes, but as long as you did come back to Ellie or Joel
yeah.
eventually.
But I don't know. I mean, the producers already said that they're already talking about maybe splitting season, like the second game into multiple seasons already. So, I mean, with how the
Really?
story
And this
is,
one didn't?
with how season 2, not season 2, with part 2,
Game
I
2.
could definitely see how they could do that though, more so than the first one, because there's so much going on and there are certain time jumps within that part 2.
Yeah. And I know what they're
And there's so much
talking
going
about.
on in part 2 as opposed to part 1. There's so many more characters and story.
Oh my god, man! But if they have a whole season just following that fucking Abby part, like
they
I might check out, dude. I'll check out.
You
I
need
didn't even like that part of the game.
to intertwine them, and that was the only part of the game I didn't like. Is I feel like you needed to intertwine the stories. You can't just have one and then the other. You need.
Where I quit, man. I never even beat Last of Us 2. I have no idea how it ends.
It's fantastic.
A single idea.
It's fantastic.
Not an idea. I quit at the Abby part. I was to where Abby got back to Ellie, and I was like, oh, I'm back to Ellie, and I just never picked it back up.
You were at the end of the Abby section.
Yeah, I know. I was there. I was like, I just never went back. Ghost of Tsushima came out like, oh my god, fucking 2 weeks later, and I was like, Ghost of Tsushima.
But I absolutely, I loved part 2 for as fucking. I mean, season 1's depressing, but part 2 is fucking depressed. The whole fucking game is depressing all around.
Yeah.
So I mean, season 1 made you cry. Season 2 is probably really gonna make you cry. I don't know. I loved part 2, so I can't wait to see what they do with that. I mean, there were certain aspects of part 2 I didn't like you mentioned, where they split both stories up. I think if you kind of would have weaved them in and out of each other, it would have made them for more of a cohesive story, and it wouldn't have been as jarring to just jump to a whole new character for another for 10 hours or some shit. It was a long ass game. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but if they need to go the route of kind of intertwining the stories in the show. You can't have one season just on Ellie and one season on Abby. It's not going to work. Yeah. People already hated the Abby aspect of the fucking game in the first place. You do a whole season, people are going to check out real quick.
I am going to beat season or part 2 this week at some point before we film. I'll do my best. I know promises. And
I'm interested to see what your thoughts are. Because
I
loved it.
Where we think this should go. No, I like the game. Again, other shit happened in life where I just lost interest. But I'm going to try to go back this week. I'm going to try to go back. But we'll talk about that because we only have one episode to talk about next week. So we'll have a little extra time in the end. We'll talk about where we think season 2 is going to go. Yeah.
And speaking next week, we are doing the Last of Us season finale next week. We're going to be talking about that. That'll probably come out on Thursday, like this week's. And I'm also having another review next week. I am going to be doing a review of Scream 6, which is coming out this weekend. I'm going to go check that out, and I'll do a review on that. That'll probably be dropping either this weekend or like early next week, maybe Sunday or Monday or something. I haven't done a solo review in a minute, so that'll be my first solo review in a while. So be on the lookout for that. You got to get a net on it. She's going to see it with you, right? She's not going to see it with me. She said, no, I'm good. She didn't like 5. I didn't like 5 either, but I feel like I got to do, it's been a while since I did a new movie on the channel. It's Cinema Trip Reviews. I got to go to the cinema and do a review. Ew, the theater. It's been a while since I've actually went. I can't even remember the last movie I went, and it might have been Nope. Or I don't know. Halloween Ends. That might have been the last one we did a review in the theaters for. So I feel like I got to do myself a service and actually do a cinema trip for the review. Mine might be Endgame. Oh my God, it's been a minute. Jesus. It's been years since I've been at the movie. Last year I went to the movies a lot, but yeah. I got to go. I haven't went this year really. So I'm going to go watch Scream 6. The review will be out probably Sunday or Monday. The Last of Us finale review will be out probably Wednesday or Thursday. So be on the lookout for those. Where can everybody find it here, Alex? Always on Tap That. You can definitely find me there. Look for my beautiful smiling face. And everybody, make sure to like, share, and subscribe here. As always, go check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Cinema Trip Reviews. And also go check us out on all of podcasting platforms, pretty much available everywhere. Drop in and leave us a good review there. And we will see everybody next week.